So that's an advert with kids holding a bear that's dressed up in SMN and bondage gear. Shocking stuff. Let's get the reaction now of my all-star panel. Academic, Dr. Lisa McKenzie, broadcaster Tommy Sandhu and political commentator Emma Woolf. Let me start with you, Tommy. Your reaction, I think you've got a couple of kids, is that right?
That's right, I've got a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old. So I see this stuff going on all the time. And even recently when the 10-year-old, when he was about 9, he had the sex talk at school. And I don't know, Mark, I suppose my take on it is my childhood was so great. It was so innocent. We were playing out in the street. I was talking to Lisa about this as well. It was just fun. It was silly, and it was what child
free.
Yeah, and it was free, and you were playing out. I wouldn't let the kids play out on the street now. When it gets dark, we used to keep playing football till the ball hits you in the face, in the evenings, and then come home when your mum shouted for you. So I think what's going on is kids are becoming like adults, and adults are becoming like kids. So we've got this thing where we're trying to make kids grow up, and we're exposing them to all these kind of, these weird things, and these kind of campaigns, and even like I say, all the lyrics, the Rihanna songs, the twerking songs, the sexualisation of the music. And it might just be that I'm old, and people have always done this of a certain generation, looked at the young generation going, oh, it's all getting too outrageous. They did it with Elvis and all that. But it feels like something has really shifted and changed, whereby kids are becoming more grown up, and adults are becoming less accountable for their actions. Adults can now say, oh, I don't want to deal with things, and throwing tantrums and throwing their toys out the pram, and we can't confront people, we can't have a go at someone for doing a bad job at something. So we've got this kind of mishmash, this blurred line between kids and adults where no one's actually being anything.
Yeah, Lisa, I mean, I'm the ultimate libertarian, so once you're a grown-up, you can fall in love with whoever you want. You can identify however you want, and as a courtesy, I will acknowledge your pronouns or your choice of name. Sleep with whoever you want. This is your life. Go knock yourself out. But this is not the territory for children.
I do think that there is something about childhood in this sort of times that we live in now. Although I'm not sure too much has changed, because I was just thinking when you were talking then about... do you remember the film Bugsy Malone?
Yeah.
And I remember that caused sort of outrage as well, sort of similar sort of outrage. And then I was thinking about, the Tears and Tiaras. In America, they've had these sort of baby pageants for 40, 50 years. So I'm not sure things have changed. And also, let's remember that growing up as a child in the 1970s, when paedophilia was sort of...
brushed under the carpet.
Brushed under the carpet, but also out in the open on the BBC as well.
Yes.
But I think there is something now because of, I think, social media, the way that we can see children. I think that's probably the difference, is I think there's always been moral panics about sexualisation of children, but I think now we can see it more, and so we can have a stronger opinion about it.
Lisa, don't you think it's gone up a level with that video of a drag star? And by the way, I've got friends, I've worked with drag artists, talented, hilarious, often have much better legs than I do, great singing voices, true entertainment professionals. But, a little girl being paraded at a topless drag event, this crosses a line. I don't remember anything like that in the 70s or the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, again... I don't know what was happening there, and and I'm not somebody, I don't like to judge.
No, but we've seen drag performances at primary schools.
I don't mind. You know what? I don't really mind the drag story hour. I don't really mind that. No, because we're in panto season. How many of us are going to be taking our kids, grandchildren to panto? There's been panto dames forever. British. Part of British culture has always been like the comedy. You're a comedian. Yeah, I mean, do you remember Dick Emery?
Yeah.
So there's always been Les Dawson. There's always been that
Dame Edna.
Yeah, Dame Edna. Well, she's Australian.
Oh, yeah, good point.
I was sort of thinking about that sort of British...
Oh, the British tradition.
Yeah, that British tradition.
Stanley Baxter, I think.
Yeah, so I'm not... I'm not so sort of hung up about the drag story time, but I do think that now there is a lot of money to be made online. I do think that children can easily be exploited around that.
Yeah. Emma Woolf, you've got one child, you've got a son. Has he got the hang of twerking yet?
He doesn't twerk. No, he's 2. He tries to dance, actually. He's quite a good little mover. I think the pornification of our society has been going on for quite a few years. I mean, we've had little girls, you can buy bras for little girls, you can buy T-shirts. I'm so glad I don't have a girl child, because all the T-shirts are pink and they say, hey, babe, or whatever, silly stuff like that on makeup, all of that stuff. That's been going on for a while. What I think, slightly different to Lisa, what I think is more alarming, even more alarming than online and social media, and the stuff that they're exposed to and the stuff that they can be, the way that they are aware of themselves that we weren't as kids. We never took a selfie. We never saw ourselves on video, barely. I mean, maybe a little family video. What I think is more alarming is this thing that you brought up, Mark, about questioning the gender identity, the inability to say to your little child, well, that's a boy or that's a girl. The fact that they've got, my nieces and nephews who are in their teens, they all have people in their classes who are gender neutral. That's astonishing to me, and yet for them it's totally normal. And that's okay as an adult. I don't care, like you, Mark, I don't care who you sleep with, I don't care who you're attracted to, what you do in bed, as an adult. But let children be children. And we've seen at the Tavistock Clinic recently the peril and the danger and the harm that can come to sort of forcing children to question really basic things like their gender and driving them into this kind of adult world of, questioning your own identity, questioning your own sexuality at the age of 9, 10, 11. That's not necessary. Let them deal with that maelstrom of emotions and all of that in their teens or in their 20s. Goodness knows we all go through, hormonal, difficult relationship stuff then. But for children that young to be struggling with that kind of thing, to have to worry like we do about calling someone he or she, I think that is child abuse. I think that's awful, and I think that is what ruins childhood.